Podcast. Welcome back to another episode. We're so glad that you're tuning in today. I'm Alex, and this is Ryan. And today on this episode, we have another special guest. His name is Malachi. He is also part of our Next Gen community, so we're so excited that we have our youth here, and they're going to share their stories with us. So don't forget to check out the other episodes that we have if you haven't seen those ones. We also previously just had another Next Gen talk about their faith journey, so don't forget to check those ones out. So we'll just get straight into it. Hey Malachi, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
No problem.
We're just gonna get straight into it. So why are you here, Malachi? What brought you here to this couch?
Well, honestly, I got like the text from you, right, telling me, asking if I wanted to come on the podcast. I'm like, you know what? This might be a good opportunity to, like talk about God, and the things that like have happened in my life. So I'm like, okay, bet. I'm down,
Yeah, is this the first time you've ever been on a podcast before?
Yeah, first time. I can't lie. Yeah, I've never done anything like this before. So, a little bit nervous, but we'll see how it turns out.
Well, thanks for being open to having a conversation with us. If you guys didn't know, actually, Malachi is going to share a little bit of what he likes to do on his side time.
I am. Okay.
Free time, yeah.
Okay, bet.
Yeah.
My free time. Well, if I do have free time, maybe I'll like go to the basketball court and like put up some shots. Yeah, like they just like redid like one of the backboards. I remember like the backboard.
School?
No, not at school. It's like it's a random school, like an elementary school. Yeah, they redid the backboards and like I can finally like shoot without the ball like going lost forever now. So that's nice. Yeah, I'll probably play some basketball, play some sports. I also like make games and stuff like that too. So like I'll be like coding on my computer or something like that. So yeah, just like that and homework, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why don't you share with us? Because you were telling us earlier about your influencer, your sermons on. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I actually have a like a TikTok and Instagram, like like the social media pages, and like I kind of like I make like short form videos, kind of on them, and then yeah, just it's like a short message about whatever God like puts in my heart to say, and then yeah, just post it on the platforms, get around some likes, some views and stuff like that, and like yeah, just try to share God's word,
Yeah, that's good. What like made you want to do that though? Because I've never really like a young person to do something like that, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, like ever since I was younger, really, like honestly, like I've just like loved computers and like technology and that kind of stuff, right? So I think I started when I first got like my first tablet, for Boxing Day actually. I bought like an RCA tablet for like $50, me and my sister. And then ever since then, oh my goodness, I was like hooked on like screens and stuff like that. Like I got my first computer when I was I think 12. Like I paid for it myself, I finally got it. I knew nothing about computers. So when I bought it, it was a computer with only 32 gigabytes. And yeah, it was a bad computer. Oh my goodness, it was horrible. But you know what? I was just happy that I was able to buy it, right? So I've always had like a kind of like love for like technology and stuff. So when I thought of an idea, right? Because I love God and I wanted to like share his message, right? And I was like thinking, how could I do that, I remember watching a video about a guy talking about like how like when we're going to heaven, right, and then we see all these people that that we knew in our life, and then they ask us, you knew that God was the right way and you didn't tell us. I was like, well, that really hit me, right? I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Do people really know I'm a Christian? So like I decided like I really wanted to like use my love for technology and like be able to like do something for God with it, right? So that's when I like decided I was gonna buy a camera, right? I'm like, okay, let me make a plan, because I was telling my dad about this, and my dad's like, that's a lot of money, Malachi. I'm like, yeah, you're right. He's like, I'm not paying for that. I'm like, dang it. Yeah, so my plan got failed there, but yeah, so I was looking at cameras and I bought one off Facebook Marketplace, and then I also got some lights, so a mic too. That was really expensive. Yeah, so I got all this stuff ready, right? And then I remember just praying to God, asking him, okay, God, you know what? I'm gonna lay this at your feet. I don't know what you want me to say. I don't know what you want me to do. But God, I just want you to, take the lead, right? So I started writing out the script, right? And my first video, I think it was about what was it about? Oh yeah, big plans, and like how a lot of times in life, we have like plans that we want to do in our life, but those plans sometimes aren't the best for us, and God knows that, right? So
Mm.
it was about like trusting God's plan for our lives, and not really worrying about other things, right? And yeah, I remember editing that video on like on my bad laptop once again. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I can see that God want me to make this, right. So
Mm.
yeah, I just posted it, and then told all my friends, go repost it and everything, and then yeah, we're slowly growing, and
That's good.
like my plans for the future for that is just maybe being able to like maybe start my own podcast, or like
Mm.
being able to like interview people because I want to do long form content too. But
Mm.
yeah, I just want to be able to spread God's word and do it in a way that that I love doing, right?
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah, that's really good.
thank you.
Wow. So you recently, well, maybe give us a backstory. Um, started coming to church in the valley, right?
Yeah,
So
like half a year ago, I think now.
yeah, tell us what brought you to what?
What brought me here? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of a long story. So my dad, he's a pastor, right? Right. He's now like the vice president of the conference. So yeah, before I used to be going to New Life and Westminster Church, right? And then when my dad got the offer to be the vice president at the conference and he took it, right? Like that gave him like new responsibilities. So he had to go every single week. My dad has to go to a different church in BC. So that could vary from let's say CIV, right? All the way to like I don't know, somewhere up north or something like that, like 6 hours north. And I'm like,
Mm.
ooh, that's gonna be hard because like if I'm going with my dad every week, I'm
Mhm.
gonna be like, I'm not really gonna have a home church, and that's how it was for a while. I used to go with my dad to like all these different churches across BC,
Mhm.
and it was nice meeting new people. But like
Mm.
at like one point, I felt like like I didn't really have a place I could call home, right? So the like sense of like wanting to go somewhere that I could feel like welcomed and stuff like that. Yeah, it took us a while. I was I was looking at other churches. Like I was at Surrey Church for a little bit.
Mhm.
Then I went to I was just like at Westminster Church for a little bit too. And then I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll go CIV. So I came a couple times, and then I actually had friends here that go to Fraser Valley. So I had
Mhm.
like people that I know here, right? So it's like that was also like something that I liked about it, right? I had people I knew, like I had like friends here and stuff like that. So yeah, I just decided to keep coming, so it's not too far from my house. I decided to, just, pull up every Saturday. And, sometimes I have to take the bus here and stuff in
Wow.
the morning. So,
Really?
yeah, because, yeah, sometimes my mom goes to a different church or
Okay.
she goes with my dad to like
Mhm.
the other churches. So, yeah, I have to take the bus. So I'm like waking up like 7 in the morning, leaving the house at like 8:30 or something like that just to like be at church.
Wow.
Yeah, honestly, like I feel that just like having a church is like really important, like because like
Mm.
when I was, as I said, traveling all the time, you think you can do it until, like, as I said, you start feeling kind of lonely because it's like you don't really have a place you can call home.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's how I started coming here, and I'm happy to say that that I think this is like my home church now. So
Aw.
yeah.
Wow, I'm really glad you feel that way. And also that's dedication to like take the bus.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because I know the bus stop is not really close to the church. It's like
yeah. It's like
a
it's
walk.
not that bad. It's like a 10-minute walk, so it's not horrible. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, so I mean, you're kind of like us who was kind of like born into the faith. Like we
Mm.
both shared how we both have been in this for a while, but um the older you get, you have to start making it your own. So when was that for you, or is that still something that you're like, trying to figure out?
Honestly, like as I said, like I'm a pastor's kid, right? So from day one, I was like, the Bible was taught to me. I was like, I've always been a Christian my entire life, right? So, um, but the time I really made it my own was honestly like last year, like
Wow.
about then, cause before, I was kind of just going off based on what like others told me about my faith, right? I wasn't like actually like, taking the Bible seriously. I wasn't like reading it. I wasn't, I knew like some Bible verses and stuff, but like you asked me like where the Ten Commandments were, I couldn't tell you. Like, it was bad. It was
Mhm.
bad. So, I decided, I'm just gonna start taking my relationship with God seriously. And I've had my struggles with my relationship with God, at times.
Mhm.
Um I've definitely had my fair bit of struggles, but I guess the main thing for me was finding time for God throughout my day, and like just being able to spend quality time with Him, because yeah, we give like time to the things that we like the most, right? The things that we decide are important in our life,
Mhm.
right? And a lot of times we say that God's not important, but if we really did care, we would make time for Him, right?
Mhm.
It's like, sometimes we like around our phone, like scrolling or something like that.
Mhm.
And like it can be like tempting, to do that, right? But it's like finding the time for God, being able to, just spend time with Him and stuff. So one thing I started doing is I started a journal, right? Where I started reading like books of the Bible, and I would just like write down what I would read and stuff, because I have a really bad memory. I don't remember anyone's birthday. I'm sorry. Y'all tell me your birthday. I'm forgetting, right? So I started like writing it down, because then I could always go back and I could always read back on what God was telling me, right? So yeah, it took me a while to get here, and yeah, as I said, I've had my struggles in my life, but I definitely think I started claiming like my own faith like about a year ago or so.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm just happy that God's brought me through all of my life, right? And I'm able to say that I'm closer to Him now than I think I've ever been. So yeah.
Mhm. Good. Is there anything you want? What I mean, like I think you guys I have this in common. Like finding a home church is so and community is so important.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like on this spiritual journey, right? Like it's so easy to try to do it on our own.
Mm,
We don't want anybody's help, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like we're like people who want to be integrated with like others, you know what I mean? We
yeah.
just long for a community. So I don't know, maybe can you touch on that? What it's like to also like be integrated into like an unknown space.
I did know this was my interview too, Mom. I don't know. Yeah, I feel the same way. At some point you just need to like claim that stuff for yourself
Yeah.
and just like seek those things out for yourself, which you're doing since you're coming to church. So I'm gonna reel it back in because we're not talking about me here. What keeps you coming back? Like, why do you like what in it? Like, I feel like as a young person in today's generation, it's probably so easy to just find um like just to get distracted. Like even for me, it's so
Mm.
easy to get distracted nowadays. But what keeps your sole focus on making sure you have that time with God every day and making sure that you're making it to church, even if it means you're busing? Like, yeah, why are you putting in so much effort?
Mm.
Like, what keeps you coming back?
Well, I'm gonna like kind of sidetrack this a little bit. Like, so I go to the gym, right? And something that you need to do when you're going to the gym, right, is have consistency, right? So, yeah, I usually go with my dad and stuff. So I'm always going to the gym with my dad. He keeps me accountable and stuff. So for me, like that consistency thing, like I kind of got used to it when I started going to the gym, right? So I'm like, what if I apply that same consistency to like my church or to, everything I do with God, right? So I'm like, okay, bet. So I started coming to church, and then sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to stay home and sleep in. I've definitely done that a couple times. Like I'm just tired. I'm like, God,
Real, yeah.
I love you, but I'm gonna have to take a little nap. But so yeah, for me, it's just I said consistency, and the more and more you spend time with God, honestly, the more and more that you want to just continue to spend time with Him. And the more you want to do things that please Him, right? So yeah, as I said, like for me, like the consistency thing has always been like kind of in there, right? Um, but I definitely you have to like make sure you're putting in the work for that to happen, because you want to do it so much that like it just becomes part of your routine,
Mm.
and like it feels like your day's missing something if you're not doing it, right? So like whether you're going to church, make sure you're doing it so often, right, that you're just it's like part of your routine and stuff like that. Like same thing with your worships in the morning or whenever you're doing spending time with God. Make sure you do it so many times that like it's like part of your routine, right? It's like getting into the habit of things is so much more easier than having to constantly remind yourself, okay?
Mm.
Yeah, so yeah, for me it's just reminding myself, maybe saying reminding on my phone or something like that, or yeah, just spending time with God is really honestly the main thing that has probably kept me coming back. Um, yeah, because yeah, in my life I've had my fair bit of struggles. I remember I'm just gonna like open real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, go
So
ahead. You're good.
um from a young age, I remember I was exposed to pornography when I was about 7 years old, right? So
Mm-hmm.
and that's like the reality now. Like a lot of like kids, young kids are like being exposed to this kind of stuff because like it's so accessible, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like one wrong click and you're like, oh, how did this happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, for my first sorry ever exposure to that, you know, yeah, like things like honestly kept building up in my life, and honestly, like I would find myself like coming back to that, you know, like every once in a while. I'm like, oh God, why am I doing this, right? And yeah, for me, like since I've been exposed to that kind of like sexual like nature like from a young age, right? You get hooked, right?
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I was seeing how that was like changing my life and how it was making my life for the better, like the way I saw people,
Mm-hmm.
the way I treated people, and like yeah, the way I just was treating my relationship with God in general, like is lacking,
Mm-hmm.
right? And to this day, like my mind is still like recovering from these things because like it takes a lot of time to recover. Just like if you're like doing drugs or something like that, it takes a
Mm-hmm.
long time for your mind to recover, right? So I remember, like I was saying, like last year, like I'm like, God, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to live my life for you, right? And coming to that point is really hard, honestly, because when you do something for so many years, and as I was talking about like habits earlier, right? The more and more you do something, the more and more like it becomes part of your routine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like you gotta be making sure that you're like making those habits, making sure those are good habits, right? Because the more and more you do something, the more and more you're gonna act the way that those things make you act, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I remember all the nights, I would just come home and I'd be like just crying in my room, like asking God, why can't I change?
Mm-hmm.
Like I try so much just to like not do things that are gonna hurt God, but
Mm-hmm.
I know that like my sinful heart, like it's in my nature to do those things, right? So I'm like, God, I don't wanna be like this anymore. I wanna change. I wanna just live for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like as I said, that's like when I really, really started claiming God and started like claiming my own faith, right? Not just going off the things that like my parents told me and stuff like that. A lot of times people like ask like how do you get like unaddicted to something, right? Like to video games or something like that, or like to drugs. I've had a couple friends that ask me that, and honestly, like the main thing that you got to do is just, as I said before, spending time with God.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more and more you spend time with someone, the more and more you become like them, right? So same thing with your friends. If you're choosing bad friends or choosing bad influences, around you, you're going to become more like them, whether you like it or not,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's all about um, circling yourself with, people that are like the people that you want to be in your life,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you're surrounding yourself with the right people, if you're spending time with God and you're trying to be more and more like Him, um, eventually you'll start getting characteristics that are similar to God, right? You'll start being more loving, more caring. I've noticed that in myself. I have a really bad temper, honestly. Like, someone says something to me, I'll like start crashing out. It's like it's really bad, honestly. but but
See yourself aware.
yeah. So yeah, something that I've realized is that I've become more patient. Don't get me wrong, I still get mad, right? I still get mad, but it's definitely a lot better than before. So just the more and more, as I said, you spend time with God, the more and more you become like Him, right? And that's what God wants us to become. He wants us to be, you know, a light for Him. Like we should be kind of like a reflection of God's character, right? That like if anybody sees us, they're gonna say, "Oh yeah, that guy's a Christian." Like you don't even have to say it. Like that to me is so cool. Like someone just walks up to you and like you're a Christian, and like you're like how'd you know? It's like just the way you act. I was like, dang, like that's what I want to be known for. I want to be someone that people can just like know that I'm someone who loves God and devotes their life to God because of the way I act. Right. So yeah.
Dude, thanks for sharing, man.
No
That's
problem.
it's not an easy thing to share.
No,
Struggles that
not
you're going with. So thank you for being so open.
No problem.
Yeah, you talked a bit about like community and surrounding yourself with people, and I think we don't. I think a lot of times, I don't know, I don't give those people enough credit in my life. So what would you say is the importance of that? Like other than some of the things you already talked about, but um, like why is building a community specifically at a church maybe or at a school? Because if you guys don't know, Malachi goes to Deer Lake. Boo.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm
okay,
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
do like people watching.
That
I'm
hate is
joking. I'm
crazy.
joking. I'm joking.
Alright.
We love Deer Lake. Woo.
All right. That's
Deer
what I'm
It's
Lake.
talking
okay.
about.
We're
That's-
Fraser people here.
Yeah,
so
we're
we
Fraser people, but
automatically-
this is kind of a biased podcast. I can't
yeah,
lie.
when we all go to Alberta, we have to cheer each other on because
Exactly.
we support BC supports BC. But anyways, like in school and in church, like why is finding like-minded people who are around your same age, like why is that so important in specifically in these years as a young person?
Well, yeah, as I was saying, right, the people you surround yourself with, that's gonna be who you're going to turn out to be, right? I have a lot of friends that have gone down not so good paths, right? And I've had a lot of friends that have chosen lifestyles that are, opposite to what God wants for their life. And honestly, it's heartbreaking because, I have to see all my friends slowly like do things that, I know that aren't right, and honestly, as I said, it's like the people you surround yourself with. So like as you were saying, like at schools and stuff like that, honestly, had it not been for some of the teachers in my life, for instance, one of them being Mr. E, or one of my other teachers, Mr. Andrade, right? If had it not been for some of these teachers, like my life would have been completely different, right? Like from where I came from, I used to live up north in Williams Lake, right? And I had my fair share of experiences there, you know, and yeah, coming down here, right? I had like some of the things that like my mind was like used to, right? And like the way I just acted, right? Because the people I was around, right? Yeah, I wasn't doing some of the things I should be doing, right? And yeah, it's like, and then some of the people that I knew from there, I meet up with them, and then I find out, like they're doing, a lot of things that, aren't like of God, right? And I just have to think like if I continue like hanging around some of these people, right, would I end up like them as well, right? And it's not like I'm not praying for them. It's not like I'm not caring for them, but sometimes you have to know when you have to, maybe stop hanging around certain people. If they're leading you away from God rather than closer to Him, then that's something you have to just realize you might have to stop hanging around them as much. So yeah, when I came down here, 5 years ago, and I came to Deer Lake School, like a lot of my views were like shifted because this is like a lot different than what I was used to, right? Something that Deer Lake really values is service and integrity, right? So, I used to like lie a lot. I was like a chronic liar. I still am sometimes. I can't lie. You might catch me like lying once or twice, But, yeah, like when they were like saying like integrity like all the time, like I was like that really hit me because like I'm always like lying to get out of trouble. I was like a problem child, so I was always lying, right? So, um, yeah, that was honestly one of the hardest things for me too. It's like trying to tell the truth more
Mm.
and stuff like that. So yeah, honestly, like I was saying, like in these years of your life, like these are like some of the times that you're going to like how you act now is probably going to be like how you're gonna like some of the decisions you make now, sorry, it's gonna be like how they're gonna affect you in the future, right?
Mhm.
And one of those decisions that you need to start making sure you're prioritizing is the people that you're hanging around, because the people you hang around now, as I said, they may not be in your life forever,
Mm.
but the decisions that you make with them in this time, some of them might stick with you forever, right? Let's say like y'all do something bad and the police get involved, right? Those friends may ditch you, right? But then now you got a criminal record, right? So
Mhm.
it's all about like just knowing like some of these decisions that you're gonna make will stick with you for the rest of your life, and you got to make sure that you're making the right choice and making the right friends and being in the right group of people, especially now more than ever,
Mm.
right? So yeah, that's why I think it's like really important just to be careful who you're hanging around and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I even think that's like something that even people like in our age, like Alex and I's age, we still like have trouble with making sure we're hanging out with the right people, like making
Mhm.
sure that the people we hang out with have the right intentions. And I feel like it's hard to really know them like right off the bat if you're just
Yeah.
meeting them for the first time, or if you're just like if you just have like a surface level relationship with them, it's hard to really know like if they want to be your friend, or if they like share the same values as you, and things like that. But yeah, moving on to something else, I think I want to challenge you a little bit, because I'm sure, I don't know if you've experienced this. I know I definitely have, and I'm probably still struggling with it a little bit. But um, what or how do I put this question? What would you say, or like what would you do in a situation where like you have a friend and he's just like been a G to you, like growing up, and you guys have been like through thick and thin, um, and but when you guys get a little older, he leaves the church and he's no longer a part of it, um, and you are obviously, like you said, it's heartbreaking to see those things happen. What are some things that you would do to maybe reach out to him, or um, would you reach out to him? Would you try and make sure that he's like maybe reconnect to the church, or she, could be she, it doesn't matter. But what would you say? Because I feel like that's a really hard thing, like reaching out to our friends who have left the church, or
Yeah.
who have turned their back to God. What are some things that you would do in that kind of situation?
It's a good question.
Yeah, I'm challenging you a little
Yeah.
bit.
Um. Well, yeah, I've had friends that really don't believe in God anymore. They grew up in the church their whole life, and then they switch up. And a lot of times the reason why they leave the church is a lot of times on feelings based, right?
Mm.
Like most people don't like study their way out of the church. So I realized like
Mm.
many people have questions, but they leave them as questions. They don't seek for answers. Like for instance, maybe someone might say, "Oh, why is the church so full of hypocrites and stuff like that?" And and why does the Bible say this, that, and the third, right? But then they don't actually take the time to read their Bible and see what does God actually say about that issue, right? And that's the thing you have to come to terms with. Not everybody's going to always want to you know take the time and actually look for themselves, right? And if one of my friends left the church, I would obviously really be sad, if I grew up with them and stuff. That doesn't mean I have to, just because they leave the church doesn't mean I have to stop, like hanging around them. As long as like I feel like, because I have friends that aren't Christian, right?
Mhm.
I still hang out with them. Some of them are really some of my closest friends, right? However, yeah, just try to first of all pray for them. Yeah, that's the main thing. We can try our best to help somebody, but main change comes through God,
Mm.
right? That's something I've learned in my own walk with Christ too. It's like you can't force nobody to change,
Mhm.
but God can help them and be able to do things that you can't even do, right? So my first thing would be prayer. my second thing would be what would be my second thing actually? um, I guess yeah, just trying to be a friend to them, even though like they're not doing things that you don't really approve of, right? Or they just
Mm-hmm.
left the church or something like that. Still be someone that they can still talk to, be there for them in their hard times. Um, like what would Jesus do? Jesus hung around a lot of people that weren't the best.
Mm-hmm.
There's talking prostitutes, Gentiles from other nations and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that at the time was like, oh, Jesus,
Yeah.
watch your friends, man. Like, come on now. And yeah, honestly, like, but Jesus never really he didn't like despise them
Mm.
for what they were doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
He knew it wasn't right. He didn't agree with it, but he didn't like despise them. He didn't like look down upon them. And that's something that we have to realize too. A lot of people have been through different things in their life, right? Maybe that friend who like left the church, maybe like something happened. They had like an experience in the church that caused them to leave. And it wasn't because they don't believe in God anymore, but rather that they don't believe in the idea of church because of the what the church has done to hurt them,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you have to realize that, too. Maybe they're just broken, really. And as I said, we can't fix them.
Mm.
We can only be there for them, listen to them. That's something I have to learn too. I have to learn to listen a lot. A lot of times, I'll be like, oh, like this problem's so easy to fix, right? But then I just have to like listen to their problems.
Mm.
Don't always be the kind of guy that wants to fix their problems. Sometimes your friend just wants someone to talk to,
Mm.
right? So as I said, I pray for them, but I also just try to be just good to be a good friend for them. Just listen out for their needs, listen to their problems and stuff like that. Just like, yeah, and yeah, just hope that God will one day maybe allow them to come back to church and maybe say, oh, maybe because Malachi has been such a good friend to me, maybe not everybody in the church is bad, or maybe that one
Mm.
experience I had was just like from that one person or whatever. Not
Mm.
everybody's like that, right? So yeah, it just comes down to prayer and the way you treat them, honestly.
Yeah. No, that's really good. I mean, even what you said earlier, your hope is that when someone sees you, they're like, "Oh, that guy's a Christian." Like, I
Mm,
think it's like all about how we carry ourselves, like just to be the light, regardless of
right.
whatever anyone's going through. If we show kindness, sorry, um, people pick up on that, and people like you can definitely be a light just through your character and
Mm.
how you carry yourself. So
Yeah. Matter of fact, I actually got a raise because of the way I was at my workplace.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So like, basically, I try to like treat like all the customers, with respect. I try to be like nice. I maybe like crack a couple jokes and stuff like that. And then like, my managers, they clock that, right? And they're like, yo, you know what? We're gonna give you a raise. I was like, what? What? I got a raise? I was like, it wasn't a lot, but like it was still a raise.
Yeah.
Money's money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Raise the raise.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Raise the raise. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's good. No, that's good. And everywhere we go, we should carry at least some sort of Jesus' light, regardless. So,
Mm.
yeah.
And I think sometimes like we probably don't even realize that it's happening.
Mm.
Like
Right.
when you were being nice, like that's probably just because you were trying to be nice. Like you weren't trying to get anything out of it. You were just being Malachi.
Mm.
But someone else really took that into account.
Yeah.
So yeah, our influence is bigger than we think it is.
Yeah.
As you were
Yeah.
saying, like sometimes we can't see the things that God's doing. Yeah, I've had, a lot of people in my life, that, as I said, like haven't really gone to church much, and then, they know I'm Christian. I'm a Christian, right? And then I pray for my friends and everything, right? So when I start hearing them like asking me like, questions about God and stuff like that, I'm like it makes me smile, like I'm so happy, because I'm like, yo, you want to know about God? Yo, I got you, man. Like I've been waiting for this my whole life, right? And like as like you were saying, sometimes we can't see what God's doing, but that doesn't mean He's not moving,
Mm.
So it's gotta like trust the process, trust the plan,
Mm-hmm.
because God's always right on time.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm curious, Malachi, what do you want to do? Because Malachi's a senior this year, so he's
Mhm.
graduating. What do you want to do in the future? What's your future plans after graduation?
Not gonna lie. Okay, it's a little weird. So right. So I'm thinking about taking theology
Mm-hmm.
and a minor in psychology,
Okay.
Oh.
not to become a pastor.
Interesting.
Wait, what?
So, I'm actually trying to become a police officer.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
Wait.
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, a little bit of a curveball right there, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, wait. So backstory. I need what? Okay.
Yeah, okay. So, kind of for me, like the whole gym thing, right? Like I love like working out and stuff. I love training myself, right? And the main reason like I do that is so I can protect my family, right? And also for the looks too, what I'm saying? Like, like see a little bicep pump. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Yeah, the confidence like rises,
Yes,
but
sir. Yep.
that's not the main thing, right? It's the main thing is like to protect my family, right? And honestly, because I love my family so much, I don't want anything to ever happen to them,
Hmm.
right? So I always want to like be someone that can protect my family when the worst comes to worst. They don't have to worry about like let's say like they're hanging off the edge of a cliff. Like they don't gotta worry about that because I'm like, come on now, that's light. That's like my deadlift right there. Holy. So
It's good intention to go to gym.
so I've always been like a protector like that. So
Wow.
I kind of just I thought of it like that, and I'm like, I want to do a job that that I can really help people, and I can use like my strengths that God and the gifts that God has given me to help them, right? And then that's when I thought about being a police officer. It was like, really? You want to do that? Because no one likes the police, man. Like you get pulled over for a speeding ticket, you're like, come on, please let me out with a warning, right? No one likes police officers.
It's
But
true.
something you have to realize though is that God's not always gonna call you to a position that where you're gonna be liked,
Mm.
right? Sometimes, like even if you're a pastor, like that too, you might not always be called to a church that where they're gonna like you.
Mm-hmm.
However, the point is that God's called you there, and where you gotta like prosper where you're placed, right? And you have to know that the season that you're in, God put you there for a reason. So stop doubting and just have faith in God. So yeah. Anyway, back to what I wanted to. All right. So yeah, I'm as I said, taking theology and psychology, and then yeah, I just want to study the Word of God. That's honestly why. So yeah, I'll probably do that. Maybe I'll be like a chaplain for like a year or something like that. But then
Okay.
right after that, straight to the RCMP. So
Wow.
Oh,
that's
here
huh?
in BC.
Ooh, I don't even know, cause honestly, the way like taxes be getting, the gas money.
No, that's
Oh my
true. That's
goodness.
true. That's
Oh,
real.
it's
That's
outrageous,
real.
man.
That's
It's
real.
That's
outrageous down
actually
here.
so really.
No, man, like gas prices are crazy down here. So we'll see about BC, but yes, that's honestly my plan for the future.
Nice,
Whoever
man.
Wow.
God says.
Theology, like at Berman.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's
Cause
go.
I got that discount because my dad's in
Oh,
like
true.
exactly. I got a nice discount,
Yeah,
so
you don't have
I'm
the
like,
discount, man.
I'm just trying to get a piece of paper, man. So like
He's
whatever's
actually
the
so real.
cheapest, whatever's the
That's
cheapest.
cool. No, I would have never thought.
Yeah, I had no idea you were gonna say
I
that.
would have never thought like
Yeah.
theology, psychology is like okay, he's gonna be a pastor.
Yeah, that's what I
He's a
thought. He's
police
a
officer.
police
My bad,
officer.
guys.
No, I honestly think they're like in a way they're kind of related
Hmm.
because then like learning about the theology, you build yourself as a person,
Okay.
and I think it probably will build up like your empathy and your compassion. Plus you're learning about psychology, so you learn about human
Exactly.
behaviors and
That's what I'm saying.
all of
That's what I'm
those things, and then you become a police officer, and then you have the compassion and empathy, and knowledge of God from theology, and you have understanding human behavior from psychology. Dude, I feel like you're set.
Exactly.
So, oh, that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah, that's so good. I mean, I'm glad that you have it all planned out. I mean, and like you said, like sometimes when God calls you places, you just gotta
gotta go.
move. Yeah,
Gotta
you
go.
just gotta move and just also trust that. But I hope it all works out. I mean, I know, like you said, police officers are not that liked, and it's probably gonna be hard. But if you know who you are, and you carry yourself like carry the light in you everywhere that you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, that's really good, Malachi.
Thank you.
So, a question we like to ask here on the podcast: should we do the older one or the younger one? I feel like
I don't know, Malachi. I feel like you
he's lived 2 lives.
yeah, and I love you. I feel like you've lived so many lives. Maybe you can answer
What
the
do you mean
younger
by
one.
Yeah. So if you were to like go and tell your younger self, something,
Oh,
Like a little piece of advice.
yeah, a little like time traveled, and you're like, hey, little Malachi, What would you say to
Um,
him?
well, y'all gonna have to let me think on that for a second. What would I say to my younger self? Um, Probably say stop talking in class, man. Oh my goodness, yo, I can't tell you how many times on every no, I've never had a report card in my life that said that Malachi does not talk a lot in class. Like on everything, like every single time I get my report card, my parents just sit down with me. It's like, Malachi, what am I gonna find in here? I'm just gonna be like, yeah, it's gonna say I talk a lot in class, and I'm a social guy. I like talking to people. I like talking to my friends and stuff like that. But yeah, just being able to just lock in school more, take it more seriously. Like sometimes I'll be talking when the teacher's talking, and I don't even know what they're talking about at that point, right? And then yeah, so then the day of the test comes, I still like pull like a nice grade, but I could have been done better if I was really like being attentive and like listening and like locking in and stuff like that, right? So that's the first thing I tell myself. The second thing I tell myself is don't really care too much about what people think of you.
Mm.
I mean, it is good to like get advice from people,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of times, people are gonna look down on you for what you're doing, right? And a lot of times that Satan's gonna send people, to try and like put you down, right? You know, and I feel like if Satan's not really doing anything in your life, you're doing something wrong, right?
Mm.
If Satan's not like trying to do everything to, if you're not in like situations in your life, there's something wrong because Satan's saying like, leave that guy alone.
Mm-hmm,
He's
mm-hmm.
not a problem, right? And I feel like the more and more like we get closer to God, like I was saying, the more and more Satan's gonna attack you, right? He's gonna
Mm.
send people to say things to you. He's gonna put people in your life that aren't so good, right? And honestly, like as I said, like sometimes you just gotta ignore the haters, man. As I said, like I'm a little bit of an interesting guy, a little bit of a weird guy sometimes too. So I've had people tell me, that like I'm kind of weird and stuff in my life. But honestly, like I think that's got how God made me to be, right? Some people are different than others. Some people are, you know, not everyone's supposed to be the same. Our world would be kind of like boring if everyone had the same character.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can make some jokes with some people I can't make with other people, right? And it's not because the joke's bad, because I'm a hilarious guy. All my jokes are funny. However, some people don't find it funny because they're just different, right?
Okay.
And we have to accept that, So yeah. So as I said, that's probably my second piece of advice I give my younger self. And yeah,
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, I mean, we're all weird in our own way. I
yeah,
think
that's what I'm
that's what
saying.
makes us all unique. We're
Yeah,
all
yeah.
a little weird.
Mm.
But no, thanks for sharing,
Hey, no
Malachi.
problem, no problem. I got you.
I know it's also like hard to navigate like life as a teenager and like a youth. So
Mm.
whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. And like you said, you told your younger self, like don't let other people's opinion, bring you down. Because
Block
Yeah,
out the
yeah,
haters.
block them
that's what I'm
out.
saying.
Like
Yeah.
goodbye, like this.
Mm.
But
No
yeah, no
haters.
haters.
That's what I'm saying.
But
Okay.
yeah, no, that's good.
Mm.
Well, thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
and
problem.
thank you guys for listening. Um,
Thank you.
don't forget to check out our other episodes and like and follow and subscribe and share this with somebody. Yeah, so thanks again for sitting down. And thanks, Malachi, for sharing with us.
No problem.
So yeah,
Like we always close out the podcast. Don't forget to love God.
love people.
And serve the world.
We'll see you.
All right.